Afternoon. Thank you, everybody who's joining us today. This is Building Back Up, Realities of Reopening in Downtown Haverhill. My name is Stephanie Guyett. I'm the Associate Director of the UMass Lowell Innovation Hub in Haverhill. The Innovation Hub is a business incubator and co-working space where we support early stage startup companies, entrepreneurs, and small businesses with facilities in Lowell and Haverhill. Thank you all for joining us today. We have a great lineup of 3 local business owners who are going to share their challenges and successes running their businesses in this new COVID-19 world. I'd like to thank our partners in putting this program on, Haverhill.biz, which is a volunteer-led downtown business group that advocates and supports businesses in downtown Haverhill, and the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. Before I introduce our moderator and our panelists, a couple of housekeeping things. We would like everybody to please keep yourself muted during the program so that we'll be able to hear our panelists. We do want to hear your questions and make this engaging, so feel free to type any comments, questions into the chat feature through Zoom, and we'll be monitoring that, and we'll definitely have time at the end for questions from the audience. Finally, we are recording this webinar. We're broadcasting live on YouTube. So there will be a link after if you miss anything, want to watch it again. We encourage you to share this with your networks, your friends, and follow our businesses, follow all of us on social media, and stay connected with us and support the local businesses in your community. Today, we're specifically focused on Haverhill, but we know that the challenges that these 3 businesses are going to talk about are being faced all over the country, really, as businesses, the small businesses that are the heart of our economy are all trying to reopen in a safe and appropriate way. So let me tell you about our panelists. Caroline Pino is a business owner, marketing professional, yoga teacher, and entrepreneur. She's the owner and CEO of STEM, Haverhill's first retail marijuana establishment. As a female and locally owned dispensary with strong ties to Haverhill business community, Caroline aims to dispel the stigma of cannabis by offering adult use consumers access to knowledgeable professional sales staff to help navigate, educate, and select cannabis products. Jason Petro is a resident of Haverhill and general manager of his family's restaurant, Kruger Flatbread. An active member in the community, he's on the board of directors for the Greater Haverhill Chamber and volunteers with many local organizations, including the Haverhill Boys and Girls Club and Large Boston North. Anthony Ruiz created the compound with one goal: to bridge the gap between muscle and mind. He desires to create a place where people can come in and feel that each person within those walls is family. His vision and drive brought the concept of the compound to life when he opened the compound gym in 2019 in downtown Haverhill. And finally, our moderator today is Lauren Brenner from Amplified Insurance. Lauren is the president of Amplified's HR Services Division, and she has an extensive background in human resource management and operations. With more than 25 years experience in the industry, Lauren has advanced retail, manufacturing, medical, and educational organizations in both for-profit and nonprofit environments. Lauren's high level of communication and interpersonal skills, along with her knowledge and accomplishments in human resources, have enabled individuals and organizations to grow and develop to meet both their business and personal goals. So I'm really pleased and welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. And now I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, who's going to run our program.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to everybody who organized this presentation. The COVID-19 outbreak is an unprecedented global public health crisis requiring all businesses to think about how they could open a business, how they can stay open, or reopen during the phased opening process in the state. Caroline, can you tell us what challenges you faced when looking to open your business during this pandemic?
Sure, thank you, Lauren. Obviously, we did not anticipate having this additional challenge ahead of us when we were opening. We had 2 years in the making, planning, gearing up to open in downtown, and we were kind of at the final hurdle, and then the global pandemic hit. So what we did first and foremost was monitor all CDC guidelines and local ordinances, but many of those didn't develop until a week before we had to open. So we had to move quickly and swiftly, and implement quite a few changes in our plan in order to open. And in fact, our first week open, we opened during curbside pickup only. So we had to tailor our operations to not even welcoming people into our store. First and foremost, we wanted to make sure that our customers felt very safe and secure shopping at our store, and also that our employees felt very safe working at our establishment. We found that certain employees definitely had some, rightfully so, some hesitations returning. We had, in fact, one employee that didn't return because she wanted to take care of her grandparents, and she will be joining us when she's ready to come back. So we did definitely have some hesitation and reservations there, but we wanted to make sure our staff was well trained on the COVID-19 operating procedures, on daily check-ins, self-attesting to that they haven't been exposed to anyone COVID-19 testing positive, or that might have been exposed to COVID-19, that they have no symptoms of COVID-19. We keep that in a binder at the store. And every morning, it's the first thing that employees do when they check in is sign the form that they don't have any of those symptoms. We have regular cleaning protocols that we do bi-hourly and hourly at the dispensary to make sure that all touchable surfaces are wiped down with disinfectant, and that employees are washing their hands regularly. And we have protocols of what we do if an employee were to test positive to COVID-19. And we made sure that our staff was well educated on all of these protocols before we opened up. We made sure that all employees have adequate face coverings, gloves on site, and that also our customers adhere to wearing face masks. And that is something that we enforce at STEM, and you're not allowed entry unless you are wearing a face covering, and that you're properly wearing the face covering. We're finding a lot of people pull the face covering down or pull it off their face, and it's important to us that that they are covered. And we also have social distancing markers on the floor that controls the queuing, 6 feet of separation. So we had to reconfigure the way that we oriented our store prior to opening, and also how we control the flow of customers from the exterior of the building as well. So making sure that we properly measured out those distances outside. Yeah, I think that covers most of it.
Well, that's extensive, Caroline, and that took a lot of work. So that's very impressive. Jason, you went from takeout to outdoor seating and then to include indoor seating again. What challenge did you face when looking for your restaurant to stay open?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, just like the other panelists here, we faced numerous challenges. We basically went from doing 80% indoor dining to shutting that down immediately, going strictly to takeout. So when we first were able to do that, our main challenge really was getting the food out on time, or in a timely manner. The first week we were able to do just takeout only. We were doing, we were telling people 2 hours for their to-goes because we had so many orders. And that was kind of scary for us, because we're like, this is going to go on for a long time. We got to reinvent our model here. So thankfully, we were able to implement some outdoor dining in June. That's really helped us a ton. But with the challenge with that is that our building has one entrance for the most part. So to go in and out, move around customers, carry food down a flight of stairs out to the customers in a safe manner, that's hugely challenging. Our restaurant is one of the cleanest restaurants I've ever been in. So our cleaning procedures have always been top notch. We're constantly wiping things down. When we first started bringing people back in, little things like we'd have a bin that said sanitized pens for use, or use pens, so the customer could feel safe knowing that the pens they were touching were sanitized. Now all of our employees wear masks, much like what Caroline had said. We do mandate that customers coming in, they do wear their masks to come in. Obviously, in our business, you can't wear a mask while you're sitting at a table eating. So the customers can take the mask off once they're sat. But until then, we do require they come in with a mask. We're wearing them. In our particular industry, in the restaurant industry, it is challenging to constantly wear your mask because we're moving at such a fast pace. We're not at a retail store where we're sitting down most of the time. We're running back and forth. So just from a physical standpoint, it's been challenging, but we're doing the best that we can and encouraging our employees that if they do have COVID symptoms or if they're not feeling well, please do not come in. We do have enough staff at this point to get covered. So things like that we're making sure that everyone feels safe coming into work. Customers are feeling safe, and we want them to return and feel good about it. So.
That's great. And Caroline talked about that they have a health assessment form that employees need to complete before they can work. Do you do temperature checks or any protocols in that arena?
We haven't gone that far yet, but we do talk to the staff before they come into work, via phone call or text or whatever. We do say, hey, make sure if you're not feeling well, come in. If you've been exposed, I'm sorry, if you're not feeling well, don't come in. If you've been exposed, don't come in. We do we require the use of masks and gloves when possible. So at this point, I feel strong about our safety protocols at this point.
So when Caroline does a health assessment form, you do a communication style.
Yeah, it's more communication.
That's great. That's wonderful. Anthony, so what challenge did you face when you had to close down and then look to reopen your business?
I feel there's a lot of crossover here with similar operations. However, with the gym, I would say that being able to be in a position to plan during and unforeseen time, right? Like a lot of the reopening date was unknown, and when we did know, got pushed up, and the guidelines just kept changing on us. The rules for even the resources that we had, it was like, where do we go for these resources? Where do we go for these updates? And in some cases, you go after a resource, and then there's a change that happens within that with the guidelines and the state versus the federal level. So a lot of that is just being present with what's going on, and then being able to apply that to the operation. Like operationally, a lot of the challenges were setting up the facility where people now no longer can just walk in. And that's a shocker for the fitness audience for sure, because people just, they get out of work. It's in their mind. They're like, am I going to go to the gym? Am I not going to? Not a lot of people are really look ahead and say, you know what, Monday through Friday, I'm going to the gym at 5 o'clock. So it allows them to schedule it ahead of time. So there is people that do that and are very disciplined, but, not knowing what can come from this, immune system awareness to making sure that we're trying to remain healthy and stay fit and do physical exercises to do that. So we don't know if we were going to see a surge or if there was a wave coming of new people. So one of the things that we did early was develop our own app where we would provide resources and also services to our clients. But we are able to integrate appointment-based visits to whether you're coming in for an open gym session or whether you're going to come in for a group training session. You just download the app and you can schedule it in your appointment. So it's just trying to get people to get accustomed to that after not experiencing that for the last year, right? Existing, and then new prospect or a new audience coming from another gym or another facility or a facility that's not readily available right now. They're used to just walking in too. So getting the message out, newsletters, communications with our members and our audience was important. But in regards to operationally, I think that making sure that we kept equipment spacing, that we were able to time our sessions where we'd had times in where we're able to clean the facility 15, 30 minutes. So we have training blocks scheduled, and in between each training block, we would shut the gym down and we would do a deep cleaning based on the procedures that we have in place. So, going from just coming into as a new business, our first year in business, trying to learn things and not really having a background in the area, is just come in and say, look, I got this cool concept, I want to try it out, let's do it. And then just kind of adapting to now it's more systems based, right? Which is good, because when you have systems in place, there's a little bit more control. So this definitely pushed us to be more systems based, which is good. So the challenge ultimately turned out to be a positive impact for us. And regarding to staff, like I said, 7 out of the 10 staff came back. We're, obviously not knowing what to expect from the reopening. One thing is getting to the reopening phase, and then it's now surviving the first 30, 60, 90 days. That's really where it really counts. So not knowing what to expect, we just brought the core team in. And also we it was a case by case scenario. Everybody has a different situation. Some have kids, don't have daycare available. So it just made sense to find that balance between members and what they had going on at their life at that time. Because when you're at a position where you're not getting income, or you don't know what to expect, or, a lot of unforeseens, there's instability, the unknown. People need to kind of plan for the worst case scenario. So for us, we were able to get 7 out of 10, and we're all here focusing on providing, the service that people are looking for right now. That time of just lack of, movement will over time affect us for sure. So being able to do that, and then also trying to financially understand what to expect in the next 30, 60, 90 days. So that was being a challenge, because we there's a lot of unknowns. So when it comes to unknowns and finances, I would put that in the challenge column.
Understood. Have you, Anthony, had to provide any additional training for employees on how to wear a face mask, hand washing, or any other protocols?
Oh yeah, that was mandatory to even get to a reopening state. So Massachusetts provided a list of guidelines, checklists for us to follow. If you're not following it, it's because you're not just looking at it. The idea is that they provide a checklist that for the reopening, operationally, right down to staff, right down to interactions with clients. So it's just a matter of following what was laid upon us, and then training the staff. We have questionnaire in place, so if somebody did feel sick, there's obviously we can follow up with, depending on where they were, what that time was, and who was around them. So depending on the questionnaire leads to a deeper investigation on what the next thing to do based on if somebody did get tested positive. But luckily for us, we have every member sign waivers, fully aware of what's required to train here, and for the most part, I haven't gotten one issue here when it comes to COVID. I mean, I think that being fitness oriented, the people that are have the best ability to fight a disease or anything like this, and not have compromised immune systems, are people that are coming to the gym, working out on a regular basis, and adopting. And it doesn't have to come to the gym. You could do things at home. We offer virtual training and stuff like that, and a lot of people are doing that as well. But yeah, it's just pretty much trying to find that balance in this new norm.
And that's the key thing. It's finding the balance in the new norm. Carolyn, have you thought about what you would do if an employee was exposed to COVID-19 or inform you that they tested positive for COVID-19?
Yes, yep, there's specific protocol we have in our standard operating procedures of what would happen in that instance, and thankfully that we've not been faced with that. But we would immediately shut down. The employee would be sent home, and everyone on our staff would be tested. I believe the guideline is something like 72 hours. You have to wait minimal after you get a very thorough clean. We'd hire a professional cleaner to come in, do a COVID cleaning. We have to contact the Department of Health. They would have to be ultimately on board for reopening once employee tests came back that they were indeed negative and that we were safe to open again.
Yeah, that's it's very intensive, and there's a financial aspect of that if that was to occur as well.
Yeah, and I think we actually talked about it on a staff Zoom call this morning, that as we look toward the fall, obviously everyone's health is of first and foremost is our biggest priority, but that there's a very big team mentality to this of all taking care of ourselves so that we can take care of our team as a whole, because if one person goes down on the team, we're all affected. Our health is all at risk, and also our financial stability is all at stake. So, you know, where everyone has been very well versed in our protocols and has been doing an excellent job with that. But we don't want people to lose vigilance as we get more and more into this. I think that sometimes people's comfort level gets adjusted and they let their guards down, and we're just really encouraging our staff and our customers to remain vigilant and cautious, and we're prepared for the worst case scenario should it come back. We're trying to do our best to protect ourselves.
That's great. I think that's key for all three of your businesses in needing to ensure that you continually keep your employees engaged. Jason, what do you do to continually keep your employees engaged?
It's like I said, it's kind of a crossover between all three of us at this point in time. We're really following the similar processes as Caroline and Anthony. It's very similar. You know, we're in constant communication, just making sure that, you know, if you've been exposed, you feel like you've been exposed, stay out. You know, again, cleaning, wearing masks constantly. So it's a lot of crossover there.
Great. And how, for all of you, and we'll start with Anthony, how do you stay up to date on the changing requirements and protocols for businesses between what the CDC requires, state mandates? How do you stay up to date on all of these changing protocols?
See, they find their way to me somehow. I'm just kidding. I get so many text messages about anything gym COVID related all day, right? So I get a lot of updates, but you know, it's the resources are there, you know, the mass.gov, and then, you know, I have all the alerts on for anything related to Governor Baker moving, right? So the updates and being able to, you know, tap into those resources, and you got Boston.com, you got all the news outlets, right? But if you just turn your alerts on, you can be pretty up to date with everything. Social media has a way to keep you, you know, within the minute if needed.
So when you say that you're constantly receiving text messages, you're talking about that you are keyed in to these different alerts and that they come on your phone?
Yes.
Great. Anything else, Caroline, Jason, that you do to stay up to date on protocols?
We reference the Mass Restaurant Association website. They're always posting daily COVID updates because it's such a fluid situation. So to back up what Anthony had said, we get emails every day from them, text alerts, things like that. So it's pretty easy to stay up to date now, especially with things like Twitter. I follow Governor Baker on Twitter, and it's like, it's just that's a help. I mean, because you can find out the information so quickly. So there's always links online. But for us, the Mass Restaurant Association seems to be the best source for us for our particular industry.
Thank goodness we're in such a technological era that we can take advantage of all of these communication outlets.
Mhm.
Caroline, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, our trade specific organization is the Cannabis Control Commission. We follow them closely for guidelines, and we have two in-house people that monitor compliance, and that's their primary role, is to monitor compliance. And so they check in very regularly on updates, and it changes phase 1 to phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. It varies slightly. So we're starting to get the hang of that, but mostly just remaining adaptable and ready to pivot at any moment and implement something new as it comes out, and just staying alert is really the best we can do.
Being adaptable and being able to pivot, I think, is crucial for every business during this new normal and uncertain times. So that's good advice. And for all three of you, were there any city, state, or federal resources that were able to assist you during this time? And Jason, we'll start with you.
Sure. Yeah, we were able to obtain PPP funding, which was a tremendous help. I mean, I can't say that we'd be open at this point in time without it. I mean, so it was a tremendous help to get that. The process was pretty easy to obtain the funding, and also from a local level, the city of Haverhill gave some grants to the restaurants that were doing outdoor dining, so it helped us cover our costs for things like, we have picnic tables and plants and all that kind of stuff. So it was a grant up to $5,000 per establishment. So we were able to take advantage of that as well. So, and I mean, like, every little cent helps at this point in time, because we run on such thin margins as it is. So between the federal and the state, the local was very helpful.
Absolutely. Anthony, Caroline, anything that you were able to take advantage of?
Yeah, I was able to get PPP funding, which, like Jason said, was a savior. And it was relatively easy. We got a lot of support from Haverhill Bank. They really did a good job with just helping work the process and keeping us informed with any of the updates, any of the changes, because PPP was changing. There were a lot of changes happening during that. So yeah, we were able to really capitalize on that and use that to pay the staff to continue to do work within the facility that we took advantage of, and doing like painting and moving equipment around and relaying out our facility.
I'm sure Haverhill Bank, was a huge help to you in navigating through the PPP.
100%.
We're very lucky to have such great local banks in the city here, between Pentucket and Haverhill. I use both of them for resources all the time, and we're very lucky to have them. So
walking distance.
Yeah.
Great. Caroline, anything else to add?
Sure. I was in a bit of a unique situation just based on the nature of our business, cannabis being still federally illegal. We were not able to have any access to funding or relief, which was really challenging, particularly because we were in our final months of gearing up to open and our capital was already pretty much depleted. But I will say that and also being deemed non-essential as retail cannabis and not having a medical dispensary was challenging. So we were kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, as we had no access to funding, but we were also unable to open. But I will say that our industry partners were really helpful in deferring payments, and also the local government was really helpful in terms of advocating for us at the state level. Senator Diana DeZoglio's office and the senator herself, the Chamber of Commerce, putting together testimonials for state reps to try to pressure the governor to either give us access to state funding or better let us open. So I'd say those resources were really the resources that we took advantage of.
Terrific. For all panelists, Knowing what you know now, hindsight is always 2020. If there was another surge, hopefully there won't be, but if there is another surge in the fall or the winter time, what would you do differently this next time around? Anthony, we'll start with you.
I would definitely go into it knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel because we went through it. Just kind of going through something twice alone is your approach is different. But so just being a little bit more confident, feeling a little bit more better about like being open-minded and trying to work logistically within that time frame.
Great. Jason?
I'm not sure I'd say we do a whole lot differently, but it would just be aware that, look, like it's a challenging time. I mean, our operations are set up pretty good at this point in time. So as far as doing things differently, I'm not sure we'd change a whole lot, but it's really just more of a mindset. Because I know when we went into this, when Governor Baker first made the announcement that we had to shut down back in March, we were looking at it. Okay, it'll be 30 days. It won't be so bad. Then it was another 30 days. We're like, all right, we can get to April, but if this is going on in May, then we're going to be in a tough spot. Now here we are. We're still going on with this, but we've pivoted quite a bit. But I wouldn't say we do a whole lot different. It's just be prepared for things to come.
So you started out with takeout. When did you begin offering that service?
So we've always done takeout, and takeout's been a pretty good piece of our business because we do a lot of pizzas and calzones, things like that. So we've had the benefit of having food that travels pretty well. Not all restaurants in downtown Haverhill benefit from that, but so our takeout business has always been pretty good. So in March and April, our to-goes were through the roof. They still are doing pretty well now, but since we've been able to open up outdoor dining, that's definitely been a big help getting people back in and purchasing things like we had thousands of dollars in liquor inventory that was just sitting on our shelves. So it's good to see that stuff moving again. So
that's great. Caroline, anything you've learned?
I think I would echo what Jason said. It's more about the mindset. And I think one thing that I'll share, and I'm sure Jason and Anthony can attest to this as well, that we all sort of feel in this together, and that I think just the support that all businesses have offered each other during this time has really boosted my spirits. And that, I'm just trying to remain focused on how can I best support this business community, because we're all in this together, and what benefits one business then trickles down and benefits others. So I think keeping steadfast to that mindset is important, and just how can we all work together to support one another, because it's through the synergy of how businesses all work together that we can all thrive. And we do have to prepare for the possibility potentially of this coming back, and just staying committed to one another and remaining positive as best we can.
Thank you. For Jason, what would you do if a customer or a client refuses to wear a mask where they need to in coming in?
So it says right on our door, we make it very clear. It says, please wear your mask while walking in. So there's no surprises there. We have had people walk in without a mask, and we'll provide them one. But if they refuse, we reserve the right to ask them to leave. We don't want to cause too much controversy, but we do reserve that right. It's just like if, we can reserve the right to not serve a customer if they've had too much to drink or things like that. So there's always challenges with that, but luckily we haven't had any. For the most part, people are coming in. They want to be safe. They know the risks that they're taking by coming in and eating in an indoor facility too. So we haven't had any issues, but again, we would reserve the right to ask them to leave, because, we're all doing our part. It can be a little tricky with us because, like I said, you're sitting down at a table eating and drinking food. So your mask is not on all the time. So there's that kind of gray area where it's like, all right, you're walking to your table. How much of a difference is it between walking to your table and sitting down and eating? And I get that. I mean, I understand that the rules can be a little tricky sometimes, but we're doing our best to make sure everyone, the staff and other customers are feeling safe and secure. So again, we would reserve the right to ask them to leave.
Anthony, have you had that challenge with your business?
I wouldn't say it would be a challenge. It's more, I mean, you walk in and there's a 3-foot by 4-foot sign that says no mask, no workout. So the idea is to make sure that they have their mask, and where if a situation arises where they should be wearing it and we ask them to wear it and they refuse, it's simple, no workout. So that's essentially what would be the way it would go.
Prior to this discussion, we were talking, and you had mentioned that sometimes a client has the mask not covering their nose or something on it. How do you handle that?
So in the case of somebody who's actually training, like for example, we do group training. Group training is a group of people. And ensuring that the spacing in between them is there, to think that they would be doing a HIIT workout with a mask on is not realistic. Especially, they're breathing in heavier. They're pulling in more air, and breath work is important, especially in the middle of a training session. So I mean, breath work is important even when you're not training, but when you're training and your body is it's got demand. So we have to be able to pull in air and exchange it and let it out. And if we have a mask in our face, then we're just pulling in that carbon dioxide. So it's an area where there hasn't been a lot of talk about, but I would think that it's something definitely worth considering when the air is needed. When volume of air is required to perform an exercise or whatever task you're doing.
That's a good point. Thank you. Caroline, have you experienced that situation?
Most people seem pretty on board with the mask concept at this point. We have a few people that, will say offhanded comments, but for the most part, if they want to come into the store, it's a non-negotiable. And we do freely give masks to people that forget them. That's probably the biggest thing, that people forget their masks in their car or at home. And then I think just instinct is to pull down the mask to speak more clearly. And it's we're just reminding folks to please fix their mask, to please cover their nose, wear it properly. And it just ensures that not only our staff feels comfortable, but also that everyone that might come into the store feels very safe and comfortable. And that's really the most important thing, so that we can continue offering what we're offering. And so I think people understand that in order for us to keep things moving, to adhere to that policy is pretty straightforward at this point.
Oh, there are some people that look to challenge things. So yeah, it's much appreciated to get all three of your insight on this. Well, we have covered a lot of different areas. We have talked about keeping your employees engaged, hygiene procedures. We've talked about the health and safety protocols and what you've needed to do, and trying to stay up to date on the ever-changing laws and protocols by the federal and state agencies. So we really appreciate your time with that. Stephanie, are there any questions from any of our participants?
A couple of questions have come in, and I have a couple myself, but yes, I'm going to start going through the chat here. And so if anybody else wants to add in a question to the chat, please do it now. I'm going to start with Tom's question. Given the many challenges everyone is juggling, both personal and professional, and the level of uncertainty that still exists, how is the general morale on your teams, and what are you doing to keep spirits up? Good
question. Caroline, why don't you start?
Sure.
You have to do this whole time.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of an answer to Tom and Tatiana's question, which is the next question, about the favorite part of revamping the business. For me, these two go hand in hand. I think just offering a new offering in downtown Haverhill that hasn't existed in Haverhill before, access to retail cannabis in a safe, secure setting right in the middle of our downtown. There was a lot of anticipation from not only our staff, but from the community at large about what our business was going to be all about. And so to be able to open during a very dark time in our community and our nation's history has been exhilarating, and to have STEM be a really positive community gathering place during this time, after months of people being hunkered down in their homes in quarantine, I can't describe it. It's just been a really exhilarating experience and a really fun place to be, because people are really excited when they walk into our store. So that component has kept morale really high, just seeing how excited people are to be coming into STEM, and for us to be able to provide that space. And we're excited to see more consumers in downtown Haverhill that hopefully will patron other businesses. So that has all been just a really great morale lift for me personally and for our team.
Terrific. Jason, anything else to add on how you've looked to motivate?
Yeah. To build on that, our staff is, they're pumped to be back out and working again, especially where a lot of our staff relies on tips from customers. So they're thrilled to have people coming back in and dining in again. The morale's been pretty high for the most part all along. When we first closed down, everyone was concerned, would we open back up again? When would we open? But and there's certain things, like I mentioned earlier, running around in a fast-paced environment in a restaurant with a mask on is a challenging thing. So that we just personally, like being the manager of it, I have to go and remind them, guys, keep your masks on. If you need to step outside, take a breather, please go do that. Don't burn yourself out. So. But again, for the most part, morale's been pretty good straight through, and we want to keep it that way. We love seeing our customers come through the door again. We rely on a lot of regulars to call them, so that they're thrilled to walk in the door and see a lot of us that have been there for many years. So the morale's good right now.
It's probably been nice for your employees to see the regulars come back and be engaged with them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Great. Anthony, can you add anything to add to that?
Well, yeah. So I would say for the morale's great. You got to kind of take, the environment that we have, or it's the energy is good. You come in, there's good music, there's people working out, there's people expressing themselves. They feel good. They're finally, got a little pump, or they got a little sweat going. So that's energy. You know what I mean? So the energy is really good. The team is very excited to be back. I think people really appreciate having that home, right, where they can go and get a kind of detach from home, right? Because they've been home all this time. So being able to come to the gym, it's almost like your time's up. You got 90 minutes in this session, and then we got to kind of shut down for a cleaning. So the morale's been really good. And, and then just within the area, now in the courtyard, there's a lot of activities, a lot of traffic. Barrio's there now. So, it's like a new experience all the time, right? Because we're just kind of like, this is all new. So it's great when, I like change. So, I think people like change too. They just fear it. So, it's just kind of explore and be there present. So it's been good. It's been good. Luckily. Yeah.
That's great. Stephanie, any others?
Yep, I think you guys touched on Tatiana's question about sort of your favorite part about kind of revamping and I think finding the silver lining in all this. What kind of feedback are you getting from customers as they're getting back out there in the world? And I would add on to that, what is your message, to the community and to your customers about starting to come back to, you know, all three of your types of businesses?
I'll touch on that real quick. So to build on Tatiana's question there, like what's been the best part for us really, having outdoor dining's awesome. I never thought I'd like it. I never thought people would like it, especially in our location. You were kind of tucked away behind the parking garage. We're right next to a train station, so it's loud. I always thought it was a crazy idea, but then we didn't really have much of a choice. It was put it out there or just don't, you know, you're losing a ton of money. So we put up a really nice setup. It's been awesome hearing the feedback from the customers and the support from the city. The city made it very easy for us to get our permitting. You know, back in March when we thought we'd be closing for 30 days, we had to shut down indoor dining on March 17th. March 18th, I went in the restaurant with like buckets of paint, and I said, "Look, we've got 30 days to make this place look awesome." We've had a little bit longer time period, but we did a whole revamp for the restaurant, made it look fresh. Didn't have to spend a ton of money on it, but it's been a huge thing for us. And hearing that from the customers saying how great it looks has been fantastic. So, you know, this actually has been, obviously it's a challenging time for us, but it's been fantastic in the bigger picture. So.
Well, you didn't have, the business was closed, so you're able to use that opportunity to be able to do some improvements inside. So that's great.
Yeah, we've taken advantage of the time we had.
And I'll add real quick, just because, you know, similarly, like it's exciting to improve the space. So, you know, that was good on our end, but, you know, I think being able to just run lean real quick, like only focus on what matters, because not much mattered at that point, you know what I mean? So our ability to just kind of like take a look at the situation, the operation, and what we had going on, and just really just cut out what was just hanging there, so that we can just get to what matters and go from there. So that was pretty. I would say that was good, and there was some relief there to kind of, you know, adjust our vision a little bit coming out of this.
I think one thing that I could add about that is that we do get a lot of phone calls of people that are hesitant to come in, and just taking the extra time to talk them through the procedures that we have in place, and what they'll need to feel safe and comfortable, and even offering to meet them at the door has really helped. And I think people are more comfortable, you know, the more information that you give them, and also finding creative ways that we put a YouTube video together prior to opening, kind of a lighthearted approach on a pretty important topic, you know, of how our operations would run. We had people, what it would look like to wear your mask and be shopping at our store. So I think finding creative ways to stay connected to your customers and communicate with them in a lighthearted way about, you know, a very important topic is crucial.
That's wonderful, and that was creative and innovative to do. Are you still offering curbside if people need, if they don't want to come in?
We are not offering curbside right now. We are just inviting limited occupancy into the store. So we monitor how many people are in the store. But we are prepared to go back to curbside if that become a reality in the future.
And if people are waiting to come in, how do you ensure that they're social distancing while they're waiting to enter?
We have markers on the sidewalk outside, and luckily we don't have, based on the way that we're operating currently by appointment only. We generally only have a few people waiting to get in, and the wait is literally as long as just taking the time to check their appointment and check their ID. So there isn't a large amount of people outside the store. But we do have a line queue with social distancing markers on the sidewalk to show people precisely where to stand. And people, for the most part, adhere to that very strictly.
That's great. Thank you.
What what advice do you have for other entrepreneurs, other small businesses, to get them through this time, or somebody that wants to start a business and is now thinking, how do I do that in this very challenging time?
I'd say utilize a lot of the local services that are available, the Chamber of Commerce, the city website, things like that. Reach out to people that have done it before. Obviously, this is unprecedented times for all of us, but definitely lean on some people that are doing what you want to do, or things like that. But there's a ton of resources available that on a local level that I think people should take advantage of, especially with the chamber and things like that. So.
I would say I would add to that too, and I would say, fortunately in our case, we have Caroline, we have Jason, who we're all kind of serve people in our community, and we're all passionate about what we do, right? So it's backed by passion. So when I would say just stay positive in times like these in uncertainty. Without I know if what you're pursuing is close to you and you're passionate about it, then being open-minded and not being fixed on a certain outcome at a certain time frame also allows you to kind of let new opportunities and see things a little bit more clear. So that's what I would say.
I'd also add real quick, if you're thinking about doing something, do it. Don't wait for the perfect time, or just that perfect time's never going to come. I mean, we were having our best year in 6 years at the restaurant, and then all of a sudden this thing hit, and we were like, uh-oh, what are you going to do? But just start building each day. Do something. Just even if it's a 1% each day to just get your idea, your business rolling. Just don't wait.
Yeah, I really couldn't say it any better than Jason and Anthony just did. Just keep going, no matter what's going on around you. If you're passionate and true to what your mission is, there's always a way forward. And to lean on those around you, because that's really how you get there is leaning on your support networks and resources available to you, and eventually you'll get there.
Eventually, right?
Yeah.
It's the journey that counts, right?
Journey's the best.
But you were talking about resources, and you've talked about industry specific, and you also talked about the city and how they have assisted you. Are there any other resources that were helpful to you during this time?
For us, there's a lot of different Facebook groups out there, like the restaurant industry group. I mean, there's a ton of them. And a lot can just be people going on and making a bunch of comments and complaining about things. But every once in a while, you see some good articles that can really help. So social media has been great for that kind of stuff. Especially when you need something quick. So I definitely would encourage people to, if you're trying to get into a certain industry, Google. I don't know.
There you go.
Google everything
is the best resource.
Yeah.
Not resource.
Oh, too. So that's good. That's great. Thank you. Stephanie, any other questions?
So we have one other question from Sean asking about how important tipping is and how much that means to you as business owners. Jason,
I guess I'll take that one to start. I mean, for our industry, tipping is very important. I mean, not so much necessarily to the owner of the restaurant, really, but to the employees. The employees rely heavily on that. But they gotta come in with a positive attitude, and more likely if they're feeling good about themselves and they give good customer service, the tips are generally higher. So it's all full circle. But our employees rely heavily on tips, and it's just the generosity of our customers lately has been through the roof. I mean, especially with the to-go orders. Before people might leave a buck or two. Now we're seeing 20, 25, 30% tips on a large bill. So we're definitely seeing people being pretty generous in this time. So
We typically don't do tips in what we do. However, during the shutdown, we were offering virtual training for free to whoever wanted to watch it live 4 days a week, and people actually took it upon themselves to start tipping. So it was good. It was good to support, and it was good to be engaged with our community and our clients during the shutdown through virtual.
We offer tipping as well for our sales staff, and like Jason mentioned, customers have been extremely generous, and it's really helped our staff's morale. And it's been it doesn't matter for us as the business owner so much, except that our staff is really, really happy to come to work every day. So that's great.
Everything helps.
We got a follow up to that. Jason, will direct this back to you. How do you take care of the bartenders when they don't have a bar to depend on for tips?
yeah, so all of our to-go orders go through the bar. Our register's right there. So the bartenders at this point are getting most of the to-go tips. So that's a nice thing for them. Our restaurant's set up uniquely like that. Not all of them are, but that's what we've chosen to do. Now that we're able to do to-go cocktails, that's pretty awesome. So people get a takeout order and they'll add an espresso martini or something to go on their order. So we're definitely seeing people leaving some extra tips for that. So.
Here's a great question. Stephanie?
We got a couple minutes left here. One more question. Other than more customers, what is your biggest need today, and what can we all do to help?
I think that's a loaded question, but just keep doing what you're doing, because I'm feeling the love.
Yeah, definitely, I can echo that. I mean, just keep sharing our posts on social media when we do it. Talk to tell your friends about what's going on. Support. We all support each other. In the restaurant industry, I know I don't want to see any of us fail, and then I want to see Caroline and Anthony do great. So just keep supporting each other, sharing things, word of mouth. That's really the biggest thing at this point in time.
100%. Well said.
And we have about 1 minute left. We talked about morale for your staff, but what have you guys done? How have you stayed sane and happy and positive, outside of this, for you personally to get through this time? What's worked? What's helped?
Well, I think for me, it was a really scary time. Back in March, my husband lost his job and we still weren't open yet. And I think the silver lining and the blessing for us is that he's now with me on board full time at STEM, and we have just welcomed a newborn baby into our life, and we have so much more time for our family and to be together, and to also just share our passion with the community. So for us, just being able to spend more time together, whereas before he worked in Boston and I barely got to see him. So for us, it's really, COVID has really given us that blessing.
That's wonderful. Jason, Anthony, anything else to add?
I can just add real quick, we've been able to do a lot of positive changes to our business at the restaurant, stuff that I think will really benefit us moving forward. So there's definitely a silver lining that has come from all of this, and I think will really help us moving forward.
Terrific.
Yeah, and for us it gives us a good opportunity to bring something into I would consider it a new market. The fitness gym industry, the club industry is a whole new market now. So before COVID, I was going into a market that, it was pretty saturated. So this kind of, at this point, post-COVID, with, these opportunities that have, with being more health conscious, being more tech driven, those are the things that I like to incorporate into our new business model. So I would think that that's the blessing in disguise.
Terrific.
Thank you all. I don't know, Lauren, do you have any last thoughts here? We'll get up our last slide that has everybody's contact info on it here. I think Seth will share his screen, put that up. Lauren, any final thoughts?
I think that I want to thank the panelists. You all were very informative and gave some good insights into each of your businesses, from the challenges and how you look to overcome those challenges and work through this unprecedented time. And keep going, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great for your employees and for your customer client base. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Thank you guys for taking the time. Thank you, everybody who joined us today. As you see on your screen, there's the location and websites for our businesses and Lauren's contact info if you have any questions about Amplified Insurance. I plug for Haverhill's Restaurant Week, which is coming up, and that's presented by the Haverhill Chamber. If you have any, need any more info from UMass Lowell and the Innovation Hub, we're at uml.edu/ihub. And again, this recording will be available, and we'll send a link out to everybody as well, so you have it and you can catch back up on anything. Continue to support your small businesses, and we'll all do our best to get through this. But thank you all so much. It was great to see you virtually, and someday we'll do it all in person again. But for now, I think this is a great way to stay connected and really be engaged as best we can. So thank you all, and thank you, Seth, for running the tech side of this, because you make it all possible for us. So we appreciate you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Good job, everybody.